What's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Free Life. I'm Sax Williams. Thank you for being part of the Free Life Squad. Let's go. Welcome back to My Free Life, where we react to the strange, the unusual, and just all kind of cool videos from across the web. And these are creepy TikToks that just keep getting creepier. What the hell was that? Whoa, man! As always, nothing you see on this channel should be taken as fact. It's my own personal opinion or speculation. Do your own research, come up to your own conclusions. With that being said, entertainment purposes only, let's get into this.
Let me bring the show and spit a tale as I foment. Everything is going pretty swell at the moment. Tired of having my soul bend around a broken barrel. I've been guarding it like I'm goaltending 1,000 smoking arrows during another 90-day burn ban. Can't afford to let one pass. Cut the binders and turn hands like a bandit fort in the Donbass. Pootie says it's time to pay the piper. No malarkey or shenanigans. Too many reasons to stay and gripe about moving targets I can't stand against. I identify as mannequin. Will I happen to go...
Part 1, we're going to cover the Cabal. Let's get into this. This is the sequel to The End of the World as We Know It, The Fall of the Cabal, a 10-part documentary that we hope you watch before proceeding with this one. We focus on the identity of the Cabal, as promised. Years of research have gone into this documentary. Still, we urge you to do your own research and double-check everything we present to you. That's the only way to truly wake up to the truth. Please keep watching until the very end. We guarantee it will change your view on reality forever.
Those who rule the world, those truly in command, are referred to as the Illuminati or Cabal. Not many people are aware of their presence, let alone their identity.
Now let's jump out of this Cabal documentary for just a second so I can insert this clip to kind of help explain things.
Come down a little rabbit trail with me. So many people have no idea how important the Tower of Babel is and what it means. The all-seeing eye is the unfinished Tower of Babel mentioned in the Bible. George Washington was a renowned Mason, and on the back of our $1 bill is M-A-S-O-N with the all-seeing eye. But you might ask, Ryan, why is that important? Let me show you this. The Washington Monument built in his honor is the tallest of its kind in the world. It is 555 feet high. Well, 555 feet times 12 inches is 6,660 inches. But you might ask, why is that important? I really hate to be the one to tell you this if you don't already know that. Nimrod was the one who built the Tower of Babel to go and try to defeat God. Well, Nimrod has 70 different names, whether that's Osiris or Apollo. Anyways, his birthday is December 25th, which is why we celebrate Christmas on December 25th. He's known for having a long beard, reindeer, and a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree represents Nimrod's penis, as it is the only part of his body not found. His wife started the tree tradition and hung balls on it. The garland is wrapped around it to signify a snake. The 5-pointed star at the top represents a pentagram. The whole thing is one big satanic celebration. The people of Babylon would make a wish for Moloch, and then they would place their babies to be burned alive into the arms of Moloch. And they believed that by offering up their babies to this god on December 25th, they would receive everything they had requested on their wish list in the year to come. The image of Moloch was a giant statue made of iron. Underneath this image was an umid, and it was stoked with wood until it became bright red. The image resembled today's modern-day Satan Claus or Santa Claus, and people are still offering up their children to Moloch. But Ryan, why is that important and why should we care? Well, in Zechariah chapter 5, it tells us why. And this is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. An angel asked Zechariah, "What do you see?" And he says, "This is an ephah." And I know an ephah is a unit of measurement that holds 10 omers, but that is the lead unit that holds. What does that look like, y'all? And where do these ephahs bear? And he says, to build a house in the land of Shinar. Where is Shinar? Nimrod was described as the king in the land of Shinar. That is in Iraq. Y'all, everything is connected. Everything has a meaning. And I need you to try to wake up as many people as you possibly can.
Now, back to the fall of the Cabal.
I ended my 10-part documentary about the fall of the Cabal with a promise. A promise to dive deeper into the story behind the darkness in this world we live in. What happened? How did we get to this point? Who is the Cabal? And what is their exact agenda? Are you ready to go further down the rabbit hole? Well, fasten your seatbelts, for this is going to be one heck of a ride. Going to believe that our countries are ruled by presidents, by kings and queens and governments. But the truth is, these are mere puppets on a string. Who pull the strings? This small yet mysterious and elusive group that forms shadow governments and who play the world and all of humanity like gods playing chess. Is the Cabal for real? Or is it just a myth, blown out of proportion by conspiracy theorists looking for a common enemy? The Cabal is very real.
So what kind of people would be in charge of things like this that we know of today? Well, let me insert this little clip so we can kind of break down a little bit of this to give you a little bit of understanding of the type of people we're talking about when we're talking about the Cabal. Let's go.
I just wish I was still in my 20s, right? The next couple of decades are going to be absolutely spectacular.
See exponential face now.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good, Klaus. Right? How old are you? You and I need to find a way to get younger because it's going to be a thrilling few decades.
We keep younger. We keep younger. See.
You and I need to find a way to get younger because it's going to be a thrilling few decades.
We keep younger. We keep younger. See.
Scientists may have found a real fountain of youth.
The fountain of youth, and it is young blood.
That may hold promise, but at a price.
So they need to find a way to get and keep younger. Well, I wonder how they do that. And I wonder where all these missing children go.
We're receiving young blood from healthy volunteers.
And notice the doctor talking said we received their blood from young patients. Oops, volunteers. How he fixed that real quick in the middle of a statement because these are not volunteers. They're patients, but not by choice. It's not by, it's not with their general understanding or their permission what's going on with them. For a lack of a better term, without their consent.
Adrenochrome.
Going to be so good, Klaus.
We keep younger. We keep younger.
It's going to be.
The blood types have different timelines. So they say the O negative is or the O, I should say, is the oldest blood type. Then you have A, then you have B, and then you have AB being the newest blood type. They say AB came around about 1500s. Now we've talked a lot about how timelines are incorrect and everything else, but let's just say a new blood type appeared in the 1500s. AB. Who was creating a new blood type? This takes it to a whole nother thing. GMOs and genetic engineering and all the kind of stuff we've been told about, it's only really been taking place for like the last 60 years, we'll say. But now you start to think, okay, if a new blood type came about, who was manipulating the blood of the people so that they could create a new blood type? Something to think about. The O negative blood type, an O negative person can give their blood to a dog, a canine, or canites. You know that whole phrase where they say canites and canines?
And continuing down the topic of the blood, it's pretty interesting because I myself have type O negative blood, which is why I will never donate it. I don't want to get on anybody's radars for that kind of stuff because let's just say I used to always be an organ donor on all my driver's licenses my whole life until, a decade ago or so. Then I stopped doing that because all it's going to take is for me to get in a car wreck where they could easily save my life, but some rich, famous type person needs an organ I got and find out I'm type O negative, they'll let me deceased like that just to get that organ. So I quit being an organ donor. I don't do that no more.
The evidence can be found throughout history, abundantly.
Now, back to the Cabal documentary.
This story covers thousands of years. It is crucial information to understand the modern-day Cabal and the evil we are dealing with. Not only that, it is the only way I can possibly reveal to you the best kept and most shocking secret in the history of mankind. Let's go all the way back in history to the most ancient civilization on Earth, Sumer. Ancient Sumer, 7 millennia ago. What we know stems back from the early writings on clay tablets, written down in cuneiform script. The Sumerian civilization was a highly developed and advanced society with grand cities, temples, and pyramids. Archaeological findings tell us the cities had amazing mosaics, elaborate streets, housing blocks, indoor plumbing, toilets with water flushing systems, and much more. The Temple of Inanna at the ancient city of Uruk still baffles us today with its splendor, its vibrant colors and depictions of strange animal creatures. Inanna was the ancient Sumerian goddess associated with love, beauty, sex, war, and political power. She was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians under the name of Ishtar or Asherah. Many researchers now believe she was Isis of the Egyptians, Diana of the Greeks, and Venus of the Romans. She was the consort of Baal, the deity who demanded child sacrifice. We shall later see whether this is true or not.
Now, I added this documentary in to help you understand what's going on as far as how long the control's been happening, and there are different ways of manipulating things in society and controlling society. I mean, this brings up a very good point to how the repopulation of things got going, and the mind state of what education really is, because it's specifically indoctrination by a grander design to be able to control masses, the population, you and I, all of us normal people, all of us plebs. All right, let's go. We building here.
It's important narratives to this point, to our research, in my opinion. We have the Pontifical College, Josephinum, where Joseph comes over to the USA from Germany in 1867. 3 years later, he becomes a priest and has his own church within a few months. And he gets to buy the house next door, of course, to support 12 orphans. And do we all know about the orphans at this point? Possibly a repopulation tactic that was going on in the 1800s. It's very interesting. Was it only 12 orphans? Or was this one of the places that they would send the orphans through to get them into society? Because who would ever question Joseph the priest from the 1800s? The guy that just randomly shows up from Germany, has all the money ready to buy houses somehow, to support orphans. It all checks out, of course. Simple stuff for Joseph. This was known as the St. Joseph Orphan Asylum. It grew so rapidly, for some weird and, of course, very random reason, that 5 years after it began, Joseph moved the operation closer to the railroad, which is how these individuals would be dispersed throughout the country. So this is a paragraph of admission. We are being told, down to the smallest detail, how this operation worked. It would go through churches. They would bring a manager type over from Europe, call them a priest, give them a house, give them the resources to run these operations, purchasing new buildings with ease to run the program. So not only do you have the World's Fairs that were a repopulation tactic, you had these orphan trains and orphan hubs where they would be dropped off and planted into society. The new facility that Joseph was just finding and saying was his. I want to make that clear, he wasn't building anything. He was given these buildings. They were already there from the previous civilization. So the new building gave the orphans a training in the trades. So this Joseph guy was obviously sent with a purpose, to to repopulate and teach to a brand new society, one that didn't have any skills. This right here is how you reset a society's technology level. The teacher is never in charge of what the students learn. This Joseph character is a teacher of a class. He is not the principal of the school. There are many schools. He is clearly taking direction as to what the students of the new society will learn. There were many classes like this one all over the country, happening simultaneously. This was an operation. This went on for 12 years with zero backstory. Finds the Collegium Josephinum, this massive college, is just found and ready to roll. No clue where the money came from. No mention of how many men were needed to build this place. Just found it. And its first class of 23 men began. It's unbelievable. This is one of the most important stories to our research, in my opinion, because it shows exactly how the operation took place. It's actually laying it all out there and shows us exactly how they repopulated these regions in the USA. It shows us the operation with the orphans, the teaching programs. And this was our base for our technological knowledge. Whoever controlled this operation from the top has all of the technology from the previous civilization and is controlling what technology we get to have. And they've clearly been doing this for a very long time. And for anyone that's on the fence, we have the St. Vincent's Infant Asylum located in Baltimore, where we have tunnels under the ground. This infant asylum was in use in the mid-1800s, during the same time period as German transfer Joseph. And what do you know? In the early 1900s, the operation was done, and they declined new orphans. 1941, they changed this to apartments. And in 2015, they light it up and try to destroy it with a fire, but they fail. So 3 years later, what do you think happens? 2018, the building was illegally demolished without a permit. You literally can't make this stuff up. It gets more and more obvious if you're still on the fence. Let's go even deeper. We have the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum, located in Galveston, Texas, where they tell us that this one is haunted. Now, I've talked about hauntings before briefly. I'm not going to say that there aren't any hauntings, but when it comes to these old world buildings, I think it was a tactic to keep people away from them. Just say that they're haunted, and it scares everyone away from investigating. So we have yet again another orphan operation going on in the mid-1800s. And I'm just going to let you know that this is going on and on and on. There were so many orphan operations going on in the mid-1800s because this was how they were repopulating these cities. So where were all these kids' parents? Is this where a lot of our families originated from? Is this why the family trees in the USA almost all end around the same time period? We are told hundreds of fire stories through the first 52 episodes. We know that that is the key and the nod, that it's a building that was constructed by the previous civilization. The St. Mary's Orphan Asylum. For anyone wondering where the parents of these orphans were, you might want to check the other asylum, the Insane Asylum, because they were not going along with the reset. Here's a graph showing that the insane asylums are disappearing over time, and I wonder why. Good thing they cared so much about us in 1955 and 1965, because surely that was the fix. Oh, it wasn't? And then a fire had devastated the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum in 1875. If anyone is still on the fence, there is room over here to get off the fence. And honestly, who would want to sit on top of a fence anyway? So we have Ohio, Baltimore, Texas. We have all these towns and cities being repopulated. Brand new people, brand new social structures, brand new mindsets, and resetting what people are taught. This all happened around 150 years ago. So this is all very new. This isn't thousands of years ago. Then we have another very interesting aspect of this in Germany during the same exact time period. And remember, we also have good old Joseph from earlier, also from Germany. So here we are given the Kinder Bewahrenstalt. And if I pronounce that wrong, I hope you all understand. This is where we are given kindergarten, another tactic to teach children the brand new social structures. What better way to trick people? Take them out of their family's home and tell them what to think, and then test them on it. Failing the test will then lower your self-esteem, putting a social pressure on children to agree with this new way of taught, or they will be called dumb and get an F This is an operation. It's all connected. And it's designed to enslave the world's population. Year after year, we are all taught a false narrative. We've all been brainwashed into thinking that you are either smart or dumb, based on a curriculum that holds zero value in the real world. Now, who knows if this Frederick Froebel was even a real character, but they do admit that kindergarten starts in Germany, around the exact same time period that we're talking about, the mid-1800s. So I wanted to tie it all in with the rest of the world. This is a worldwide operation. This is not just the USA. We have a lot of things in the USA being controlled through Germany during this time period, especially the education aspect of it. And I want to point out that yes, we have borders and division now. We have so many countries in the world, and everyone is separated. And you're unable to travel to other lands unless you have a piece of paper that is registered and checked at the checkpoints. But who's to say that there even was a border in the previous civilization? Were there so-called elected leaders controlling everyone, deciding what we can and cannot do? Could they have had a truly free life where they were able to travel wherever they want, freely, and not feel like they're invading someone else's territory? I would say, in my opinion, this was the world that was here before the reset. And something happened where this past civilization was wiped out and their technology was stolen by a group.
And I'm absolutely convinced there was no concept of borders, in previous times. It's just the world. You live in it. It's yours. It's mine. It's everybody here's, so there's definitely a controlled construct over, the evolution of man and taking control and power and getting power hungry. Mankind is hard to trust people, you know what I mean? Now let's jump back into this Cabal documentary.
The ancient culture of Sumer and its polytheistic religion expanded towards the northwest into Babylonia, then even further west. It went to what we now know as Canaan and Phoenicia. More about this group later. There was a second group. They went further north, all the way to the region we now call Ukraine and southern Russia, between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. There they took on the name Khazars and called their new homeland the Kingdom of Khazaria after their ancestors. Joseph Chagan, king of the Khazars, explained in a letter to the foreign secretary of the Caliph of Cordoba, Hasdai ibn Chaprut, that his people were direct descendants from Japheth, son of Noah. Khazaria was right at the center of the northwestern Silk Road. Merchants who traveled through Khazaria had to pay toll, a lucrative way to swell the coffers of the kingdom. The Khazars were different than the peoples from the surrounding countries. They were described as thieves and spies. They were said to be lawless people who lived a life of sin, of sexual extremities, and of cruelty. They would murder travelers from other countries and adopt their identity. They were masters of deceit. And, last but not least, they were said to worship Baal, also referred to as Moloch, a representation of Lucifer that demanded child sacrifice.
This really breaks down the rich history of the Satanism and evil that's been in this world for a long time, and the representation of that evil and how they just adapted as time went on to hide what their true intentions were and their goals in life, and as far as their mass control over the populations and inflicting and indoctrinating this sick practice into society. It's something different, man. This is a really interesting documentary, and this is only the first part of part one of this Fall of the Cabal. So on the next video, I'll break down the second half of this part one, and we'll move on with that on the next video. But right now, we're just gonna keep this working.
In return, Baal was said to reward them with riches, with fame and fortune. The neighboring countries despised them. They hated their sacrificial rituals in which they threw babies into the flames or cut them open to drink their blood and eat their flesh, claiming it gave them incredible power and energy and eternal youth. Urged by these surrounding peoples, the Russian ruler knew he had to do something. In the year 600, he warned their king, Bulan, that their Luciferian practices had to end. He told him they had to convert to either Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. The choice was his. Bulan chose Judaism. But he did not really convert. He merely took elements from Judaism and forged them into his own Luciferian belief. King Bulan and his people lived on and prospered. Nothing much had changed, except for the fact that for outsiders they now called themselves Judeans, which they were not. Mind you, the name Jew wasn't invented until the 18th century. 4 centuries went by. In 965 AD, the Russian ruler, Grand Prince of Kiev, Sviatoslav I, felt they had gone too far with their continued devil-worshipping and child sacrifice. He decided to wipe them out. But the Khazars had their spies everywhere, and the Russian cunning plan was brought to the ears of the Khazarian king, who, just in time, fled the country with his 25 wives and 60 concubines, all of the nobility, plus an enormous amount of gold and silver. The entire exodus of royalty and nobility went via Hungary to Poland, then from Germany southward to France and Spain. Everywhere they went, some were left behind. In order to reveal their true identity, they called themselves Ashkenazi Judeans, knowing very well that their new home countries would not exactly be eagerly awaiting Luciferian Khazars. Ashkenaz, by the way, was the name of a region they inhabited during their migration from Sumer to Babylonia to the Caucasus. Like all regions at that time, this one too was called after the descendants of Noah, Ashkenaz being a grandson of Japheth and great-grandson of Noah. Now don't worry, you don't have to remember any of this. We just need to tell you from a historical point of view. It does explain a lot though, as Japheth, son of Noah, had 2 grandsons, Ashkenaz and Togarma, who became arch-enemies according to rabbinic literature. Now the people we are dealing with here descended from Togarma, yet they adopted the name of their arch-enemy, Ashkenaz. Why? We will soon find out. Just remember this. It was all by design.
Very interesting when she gets to talking about the Ashkenazis, how that came about. So let's think about that for a second. Why is that relevant in our modern time right now with what's going on the geopolitical spectrum of things with Ukraine? And what are the Nazis called there that fight for Ukraine? The real Nazis? Ashkenazi. All right? We working on it here, y'all. Let's keep putting this together. Let's go. If you're enjoying the content I bring to the table, please don't be too shy to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit those notifications, and be part of this Free Life Squad. I bring videos like this multiple times a week. Thank you. Part 2. Grays, tall blondes, and reptilians. Woo!
Will I happen to go dark soon? That depends on if I panic when I see that life ain't a cartoon. Too much time in a dark room, farming cataracts with these LEDs. Digital diamonds, I bark at the moon, armed with battle axes and smelly cheese. For the fat cats that are rats congregating right outside of my front door with thatch matches and hunger baiting me. What I light up this blunt for?
The conflict of 3 extraterrestrial biological entity civilizations that have been terraforming and manipulating genetic material on this planet for at least 270 million years. And then over the next 7 hours, he broke down tall blondes, reptilian humanoids, and the grays. He said the Greys were largely artificial intelligence. A lot was unknown about the progenitor of the Greys. The Blondes were in many, many solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy. That the reptilians were here first. And that the reptilians claim Earth as their own. But the Blondes want to be able to do laboratory experiments on Earth as well, and so do the Greys. Three-way conflict. The Blondes have been trying to annihilate the reptilians. The reptilians have been trying to annihilate the Blondes. The Greys have sometimes taken sides, other times they do their own independent thing.
I can't help but to find it incredibly interesting with all the disclosure going on, just all of a sudden, you know, in the last couple of years with all this UFO stuff and everything else. So do I believe in UFOs and aliens? I do, to a certain extent, you know, for sure. I've always been infatuated with aliens and UFOs since I was a child. But with the whole Project Blue Beam and all of this technology and all of this crazy stuff and the coincidence of the timing going on right now with all this disclosure and all these mass sightings everywhere, it makes you really get lost in the sauce as far as what's going on. But I do find it very intriguing. I absolutely believe there's other life forms for sure. But as far as out there goes, I don't know if out there is way up high or way yonder on the outside of the Antarctic ice wall. You know, I just don't really know. Of course, we're not supposed to know, which is why all the confusion in the first place. But I definitely think these creatures and stuff out here, for the most part, are real and from either different dimensions or different places. Really don't know, but that's why we keep digging on into this stuff, and we're going to continue digging on into this stuff till we can get something that kind of resembles truth. Let's go.
Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. What if everything we know about the moon is wrong? Chris, can you pull up that video? Well, look at this. That's the moon out in broad daylight, on full display. I recorded this video at 4:30 this afternoon, on my way to pick up Chris from school. Right? How is that possible? If it's nighttime in Australia and they're looking up at the moon, how can I be seeing it in broad daylight? The only logical conclusion is the bilunarian model, which suggests that there are two nearly identical moons orbiting the Earth in perfect symmetry. And if you've never heard of it, it sounds pretty radical. I get that. But when you start to think about it, it makes perfect sense. And the people try to deflate this argument by going, well, how come we've never seen them at the same time? Well, they're in perfect symmetry. And for us to not be able to see both at the same time, one has to be on the other side of the Earth, which means that the Earth has to have at least two opposing sides, right? And it can't just be two sides, or else the Earth would be two-dimensional. That's ridiculous. But what if there was a more radical model? We don't know where the Egyptians got their inspiration from, but it's starting to make a little more sense now. And if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, which moon did the astronauts visit? We still don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard of the bilunarian model theory before, which I was finding it pretty interesting what he was saying up to the point where he pulled up a triangle as the world. Now, you know, I'm just getting my head wrapped around this flat Earth thing because it seems to make a lot more sense, the flat Earth than the globe Earth. Seems to be a whole lot more evidence supporting the flat Earth theory. Of course, I'm on the fence just because I have no idea. But as far as evidence goes, factual-based evidence that you can really put your finger on, as us normal people, I'm definitely more toward the flat Earth concept because it just really seems to make sense. And plus, in the Bible, it does say we are under a firmament, and I definitely believe in the Bible. Now, this dude picking up a triangle, and it's supposed to be those three dimensions, but that being our world, I don't know. That's a whole nother level of rabbit hole. I don't even think I'm even going to entertain digging too far down that and putting too much time or effort into that. But it is interesting as far as how important pyramids in general are, but I don't think that the planet we live on is shaped like a pyramid. But that's just my thought. Let me know what y'all think down in those comments. Let's go.
Humanity has been asking itself questions about the existence of alien life since the beginning of space exploration. Currently, several alien races are already known, thanks to numerous stories from eyewitnesses.
And I do want to apologize ahead of time as far as the audio on this tall white alien blondes video clip, because as I put the background music in to keep from getting the copyright strike, I didn't realize that I had the volume up just a little bit too much, trying to overpower the original audio in the back to keep from getting struck. But it's a little bit loud, so you're going to have to listen a little bit harder at what the narration is saying on this, because it's very important and it's very interesting. But I do apologize for that. I'll make sure I do better next time.
In this video, I will share with you information about the alien civilization that is special to people. Story by Charles Hall. Information about them was first provided by the American Charles Hall, who was the meteorologist at the American Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada in the late 60s, and later worked as a nuclear physicist in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Charles Hall describes this species of aliens as follows: blue-eyed, blonde, chalk white-skinned, 2 to 2.5 meters tall, they looked very slender. They have large, elongated, slanted blue eyes, small noses and ears that lie close to the head. The shape of their hips is approximately the same as that of Earthlings, but their gait is different, showing their adaptation to greater gravity. Based on their external features, Charles Hall gave them the name tall white aliens. Their spoken language resembles the barking of a dog or the chirping of a bird. The writing resembles ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs in appearance. These aliens also have special devices that can telepathically reproduce speech directly in the head of the listener, in different languages. Their lifespan is about 800 Earth years. Moreover, up to 400 years they remain practically unchanged, after which they begin the second stage of growth, which can reach almost 3 meters. Typically, the tall white aliens wear aluminized light gray overalls with gloves and helmets that resemble partially open motorcycle helmets. They also carry the weapon that resembles a pen, which, depending on the mode of operation, can paralyze or kill a person. This observation is interesting. Although the tall white aliens are clearly superior to us in matters of technology, there is evidence that in such concepts as wisdom, mental development, and moral status they are quite comparable to us.
And this next clip is of a UFO researcher that really brought the term Men in Black into action. It's a pretty interesting clip. Let's jump into this.
Bridgeport, Connecticut, 1953. Albert K. Bender, the nation's top UFO investigator, receives a threatening visit that will bring his research to an abrupt and premature halt.
He suddenly ended the International Flying Saucer Bureau, and people wondered why. And what happened was that he came home one night, went into his bedroom, and suddenly these 3 dark, shadowy figures materialized through his wall into his bedroom. They were wearing the hats and the overcoats.
The visitors Albert Bender encountered matched descriptions of what is today known as the Hat Man, but he called them by another name, the Men in Black. While the Men in Black are often portrayed in pop culture as government agents, many who claim to have encountered them believe they are something other than human.
Let me tell you something. This dirty beach right here, this dirty sandy beach that you're looking at, that's an alien. That's one of the reptile people. Don't no human being move their eyes and make them kind of face. That's a reptilian. That's what's running your government. Them dirty sandy beaches. Dirty sandy beaches.
Now, if you've never watched the original clip of what this guy's reacting to, it's very strange and unusual, very interesting. Most definitely does not seem human. By far, the movements and the eye movements and just the mannerisms, everything about that lady was wrong. It was just off. Just like the other clip where the lady was doing word for word verbatim of what the representative was saying, completely memorized the speech. You could just tell she was a controller, and it's weird. It's weird. It really, if you really look and pay attention and open your eyes, you can really start understanding and seeing things like we are not in control. And by we, I mean our our government, our president, our politicians, none of us are in control like that. Not like we think. You know, we do not have the power that we think that we do, that we're supposed to have. This is worldwide, and it's literally a handful of people that control everything, the direction of everything. Again, thus the cabal. All right, let's keep going.
Alien video was uploaded with the simple tag of "This video is 100% authentic." It shows a guy waking up in a cold room after supposedly being knocked out. Our trapped videographer turns around and sees a door that connects to a walk-in freezer connecting to yet another door. The door closes behind him and he moves toward the far door, hearing banging noises the entire time. At this point, the footage cuts out and goes dark, possibly opting to avoid showing his face because he was embarrassed about whatever happened to him. This footage is amateur at best, but a good first attempt.
The fact that the tag on this video was 100% authentic already makes me feel like it's fake. And it, I'm not much more convinced after watching the video that I don't think this is fake, but interesting nonetheless.
A video taken at night with a handheld infrared camera shows us what looks a lot like a strange little creature hanging out at the edge of a road before taking off into the sky, disappearing into the night. The entire scene is pitch black. We don't think this is an alien or a ghost, which seems to be the general consensus based on the comments we've seen. Could also just be an optical illusion, caused as a result of the poor image quality and maybe some kind of light source. If an alien was gonna pop by to say hi, then this place is pretty fitting. Still a good video and made us think twice about it. Help but feel like the creature does seem to be much more alien in appearance each and every time. Others are clamoring that it's probably a chupacabra. Looking at the footage, we think that this is probably closer to a gray alien in appearance, and we thought we should add it to today's countdown. Then began to float around him, making him feel extremely uncomfortable all of a sudden, with a wave of panic settling over him. He noticed the unmistakable alien appearance when he got up close. He miraculously got his camera out and snapped a shot. Alien then came at him, moving quickly in his direction.
That was some pretty interesting gray alien footage. If it's real, because you really got to get a real good look at that poking out from behind the trees right there. But again, full of skepticism on these videos. Just too much emphasis on getting likes and comments and subscribers than posting out real stuff. So, you know, you got to take all these videos with a grain of salt. This one coming up here is a pretty interesting one with this alien on this rooftop. It's kind of creepy. Let's check it out.
An alien hanging out on the roof of a building has been causing quite a stir. The video shows a very strange beast hanging out in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. Ranch owner who heard something strange going on outside, deciding to pull out his camera and investigate further. This all speaks to the fact that this video is probably a complete hoax, with the creature shown just being an early attempt at making a monster. He can't imagine looking through your photos after the fact and coming across something like this. We doubt they contacted the thing though, because they made it out in one piece and were able to upload the image for us to come across.
So I don't remember what time it was, probably closed at 9. So maybe it was 8:30, 8:45, approaching 9 I think. And as we're coming up to the parking lot, we were stopped at a light, and we both noticed something, some kind of a craft hovering above the corner store in the strip mall. And there's hardly anybody around at this point because it's almost 9 o'clock. All the stores are closing. Only so bizarre, I couldn't shake this feeling like I was supposed to see this. Somebody wanted me to see this. Somebody wanted me to know that this is real. So when I talk about UFOs, when I talk about reverse engineered technology, I'm talking about something I've seen. I am a witness to advanced aerospace technology.
There's a pyramid in Alaska. There's a pyramid and it's underground, and they've been studying it for decades. It's not that far from Valdez, I believe. I would have to check on where it's at, but apparently, yeah. And I know a very important person that from the Pentagon that met with one of the lead defense contractors that were studying it, and they told him, they said, we think we finally know what it's doing. It's all turned on. We think it's suppressing consciousness. That's what he said. The legend is that there was an earthquake of sorts, and all the seismographs picked up the waves that come, you know, all the way through everything, and they saw this whole anomaly like as those shock waves went through the land, there was some kind of structure or something that perturbed, on the receiving end of these waves and so they dug some tunnels, elevator shafts, made a little strip there to land, and they've been underground studying it forever. That's how the legend is. Then the news did a little piece on it, and then all of a sudden all that shit disappeared. The people at the station said the guys came in and said never air this again, kind of thing. So but on the deathbed of a couple people that were out there, they said like they were very aware of that. I think in the beginning, if I remember correctly, again, it was like someone that worked for like Bell Labs or like, who was it? It was maybe it was more the precursor to AT&T or something like that. Like, I can't remember all the. I don't want to get it all too fucked up. People kind of hang on my words when I talk about shit like this. But, so the only thing I want to say is, yes, there is a pyramid, and we've been studying it, and I pretty much have said all I know about it. But I got some other theories, but
And I found it important to put this clip in because anytime we're talking about aliens, UFOs, we have to talk about pyramids. So here's your pyramid clip. Let's keep on moving.
Have you ever thought about how maybe thoughts themselves have intelligence, and that thought comes into you at a specific time because it's time for humanity to evolve to that level, and that thought is helping us to evolve. So the thought is not just nothing. It comes to you for a specific reason, and there's actually evidence of this. Have you heard about how certain people will receive, you can call it a download, but will receive this thought about a specific invention, and then inventions, there are specific times through history where multiple people came up with the same invention at the same time without knowing each other all across the world, and they were all trying to file for the patent and shit all at the same time.
Wow.
And so if you're wondering, how do we evolve, or how do we move into a higher level of consciousness as a human organism, maybe it's through the higher intelligence giving us thoughts to create certain things, to create certain perspectives. And then that is how humanity evolves.
Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. This is one of my favorite paradoxes. Humans could not have traveled to the moon unless we had already traveled to the moon. Let that sink in. So in order to make that trip, Chris is leaving because I've been talking about paradoxes all week and he's sick of it. Okay. He's got a call. In order to make the trip to the moon, you need to know exactly how much fuel it requires, right? Because you can't afford to bring not enough, or you'll never make the return flight. But you also can't afford to bring too much because of the complexities of space travel, right? Chemistry, physics, all these things behave differently in outer space. So, for us to have made the trip to the moon, we would have already had to have been to the moon in order to know how much fuel it requires. So that's the paradox. And it's actually not the first time this has happened, because, and if you want to go down this rabbit hole with me, when the Europeans crossed the ocean to go to the Americas, and you can look this up, they would need to know exactly how many supplies they need. Well, how could they know that unless they had already made the trip before? And you can take this a step further. If you really want to get crazy, the only way a sailboat can cross the ocean is with wind. Well, how did they know exactly how much wind there would be?
Now, I'm 100% not a believer that we ever landed on the moon, at least not as far as the footage and the information that we got, the stuff that was supposed to confirm our moon landing and the video feed and all that's all shenanigans. There ain't no doubt in my mind that was fake. Now, perhaps we did land on the moon and they just had to create a whole opposite reality for us to focus on because of certain things they found or the way things went there. I don't know. But as far as what we've been shown, the evidence we've been given, please, not in a million years that wasn't real. And this dude here, he reaches on his theories like he reaches way out there. I don't know about this dude.
It's 2006 in Pensacola, Florida. David Eckhart is asleep in his bedroom. A closed-circuit camera mounted above the bed captures the room bathed in a soft yellow light coming from an open door. Suddenly, the camera picks up something alarming. A short, skinny humanoid figure begins slowly peeking out from behind the open door. David does not stir from his sleep as little by little, the figure creeps further into the doorway, revealing a bizarrely slender leg, seemingly just a few inches in diameter, then an oblong head and eventually its whole body. It resembles otherworldly beings commonly described as grays, and this apparently wasn't the first time David has seen one. David wouldn't be the first to report repeated visits from extraterrestrials.
It's very rare that I have found an individual that has only had one experience. Invariably, there were multiple experiences, often dating back to childhood.
Hove, England, 2008. In the middle of the night, 20-year-old Charmaine de Rosario Sage is sleeping in bed when she awakens to a frightening sight. A reptilian humanoid staring down at her.
A reptilian came into the room. We went to an underground cave. There was a group of reptilians there, and they stood around me in a circle. Each one of them put one hand on my body, and I slowly changed. And it was the most amazing, but also sort of bizarre situation to look down at your body and see it morph from your human form into a reptilian form. To see the skin shift from being smooth into scales, and to find that I had a tail.
Could Charmaine's incredible story be true? Was she really transformed into a reptilian-human hybrid? Charmaine claims she learned from her abductors that all humans today are byproducts of alien genetic manipulation. Some more than others.
All right, I found those few alien clips to be pretty interesting. I hope y'all enjoyed those as well. We're about to move on into part 3 of this video, though, which is going to be some UFO sightings. Let's roll. Part 3, UFO sightings. Let's go.
I ain't here to try to force feed anyone. Don't care what you're choosing to eat. Why you traveling at warp speed? Why you gotta groan and compare? Cause I'm using my feet like the way we did before all the technology fell from the heavens with those who dared to fail to deliver to God an apology for selling us weapons and chose to declare that they're the ones who wanna be the masters of our universal basic income. We're the sons of these greedy bastards governing you without facing the kingdom.
Since then, hundreds of former military personnel have come forward with reports of unknown craft buzzing nuclear tests, atomic labs, and missile bases. A group of former officers told about their encounters at a Washington news conference in October of this year. Investigator Robert Hastings has obtained hundreds of pages of once classified Pentagon files about these incidents and has personally interviewed more than 150 retired military officers about ominous encounters involving nuclear weapons.
UFOs have routinely monitored our nuclear weapons going back decades.
The national security implications are a major reason former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid co-sponsored a once-secret UFO investigation overseen by the DIA. But the UFO nukes connection is much stranger than mere unknown craft in the sky.
And all the information that we have on these UFOs constantly being around things of, nuclear origin, the way they come and shut down missile silos and nuclear warheads and stuff like that, that gives me a lot of faith in whichever entities those are maybe not here on nefarious purposes if they are at least stopping us from blowing ourselves up. Of course, it's not about us. I'm sure it's more about the planet. But as long as they're protecting us in the same sense, I'll take it.
Real or real?
Ese es un ovni. Un objeto no identificado. Miren. Mientras que hacíamos deporte. ¡Ven que te pueden abducir! ¿Escuchan el ruido? ¿Y cómo gira? ¡Llama! ¡El Salfate! ¿Dónde está Salfate en este momento? ¡Que lo necesitamos! ¿Dónde está Salfate? ¡Está girando!
Now, I definitely find this clip to be real. Whether that's actually a UFO up there or not, I have no idea. But the clip I certainly find authentic just from their reactions, and plus the person all the way up there at the end of the video leaning up against the fence staring up at it too. So let you know there really is actually something in the sky they're looking at. But these cloud formations are definitely not normal, so it's probably cloaking something else. Let's go. That was quite the beachside footage. That looked pretty valid as well. You know, it looked pretty real to me. I liked it. I liked the little clip. Not a whole lot going on with it, which makes it seem a little bit more realistic to me. All right, let's move on.
You know is that UFOs are real. We have proof. The United States military has been studying them. There's one case in particular that I can't stop thinking about. It's this case from November 2004 off the coast of California. The military report from the day tells a story of this blue sky, unlimited visibility day with an aircraft carrier that detects, quote, multiple anomalous aerial vehicles descending very rapidly from 60,000 feet down to 50 feet in a matter of seconds. These flying things just hover. They stay stationary on the radar for a short time, and then they depart at high velocities and turn rates. So they sent out these pilots to go chase these things down and see what was going on. And they actually got video of this stuff. The report describes it as an elongated tic-tac shape, about 47 feet in length. Solid white, smooth, with no edges or wings. As a journalist, I am incredibly skeptical of all things paranormal, okay? Do we have proof that there are extraterrestrials visiting our world? No. But what we do know is that UFOs are real.
When they actually come.
February 2020, an Airbus A320 is on a routine flight soaring over Medellin, Colombia. Little does the captain know he's about to find out he's sharing the friendly skies.
The pilot does us the favor of showing his altimeter, and we can see that he's flying around 30,000 feet in altitude.
The pilot then points his camera phone out of the cockpit window, and watch this as he zooms in. A metallic-looking object, a polyhedron of some sort, whizzes by in a straight line. We slow it down and zoom in further. You can see it kind of looks like a cube.
It has these kind of little points that stick out. It does seem to be darker in color and not like a bright, shining balloon. Whatever this is, it definitely shouldn't be there.
One theory is that if we were visited by another civilization, they might send probes ahead of when they actually come.
You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it.
This newly declassified US government video of a UAP, or Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon, was filmed by a military drone in the Middle East in 2022. UAPs are more commonly known as UFOs.
This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. That is an unresolved case we are still studying.
The director of Pentagon's new All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, shared the video during a U.S. Senate committee hearing.
How many are still left to be resolved? Just an update from your January public report where it was 366 or something, and about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones.
We are tracking over a total of 650 cases.
Matter.
Oh no.
Can I throw a conspiracy out there?
Do it. I don't know if this is the podcast for that.
What if, I always think, if they're talking about it on the news and it's on social media constantly, they're doing something with it. So, let's talk about aliens. They're like, they're here, we're not alone. And then you have them talking about AI. It's like, could they not make an alien? But it's like, they're using AI technology within these beings.
It would have to be something like life outside of humanity that would
Shake everything up.
It would shake so many people up.
And that's what Stephen Greer, he's so eager to expose it all. Because he said they're going to stage a fake alien invasion.
He said that?
He said it's going to be the most convincing thing ever. This underground, terrible government, they're going to have control.
You've seen all the stuff about meat in grocery stores not being real meat. Dude. I haven't even thought about the fact that if you combine AI with the ability to grow your own muscle.
That's what I'm saying.
You've seen the 3D printing meat, right?
Yeah, like you combine artificial intelligence with the fact that we are able to create biological matter.
Oh no.
Can I throw a conspiracy?
Strange objects are being spotted in the skies around the world, but what they are exactly is still unknown. That was the main takeaway from a public meeting held by NASA, which set up a panel last year to investigate unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who works for the US Department of Defense, told the UAP meeting that seeing strange flying metallic orbs was becoming an almost everyday occurrence. UAPs is a fancy new term for UFOs, but no matter what you call them, it's been revealed the Pentagon is receiving 50 to 100 reports every month about the strange objects. Of those, Dr. Kirkpatrick said only between 2 and 5% could be considered anomalous, and even then, investigators didn't have enough data to explain what their origins were. And getting to the bottom of the phenomena isn't easy at the moment, with several members of NASA's 16-strong group of UAP investigators experiencing severe harassment. NASA said stigma about the topic remained one of the most significant barriers to solving the mystery.
Now, in my opinion, Stephen Greer may or may not be the op. Jury's still out on that. But I definitely believe that they will be staging a fake alien invasion because of that's in the plan for Agenda 3030 and all of that good stuff. You know, it's documented, and everything that they've had documented, from the pandemic to a shutdown of stuff to masking people up, has all been predetermined, written down as a plan, and the plan is unfolding as it was created. So I do believe we're about to be coming into this Project Blue Beam part of things right now, which is, I think, is why we're starting to see so much alien activity. Let me know what y'all think down in them comments.
Seances turn into concerts, rituals now entertainment. They want us burning beyond the curtains that get us to couch while our brains are bent. Signing your checks to a great chef to direct all your crises you've learned from. Now kindly exit at stage left and collect your prizes, you've earned them. Thirst for the breath of the birth of the turn of the opponents to sown with a frosted kiss. Curse me to dirt and you don't even know that they don't even know what the cause of it is. Dunce caps, you were lost in the trenches, you wouldn't know the truth up until they bit you. Just one slap from the boss to convince you they wouldn't know the truth and the truth of the glitches from all the facts you've been wishing you didn't do. On your path to discovering enlightenment, like a tax for emissions you bit into. You feel the wrath of the love you denied for a tweet or even a t-shirt. Free spikes for all the survivors. You're free to leave, but please first hit like, share, and subscribe first.
Well, I just want to thank you all so very much from the bottom of my heart for being here again. Thank you. If it's your first time through, don't be scared to hit that like and that subscribe button. Definitely throw some comments in there, y'all. Get a little conversation down there going, moving around, and help push this channel. Until then, I'll throw you up a couple videos right here that you can watch, and we will see you on the next one. Love y'all. Peace.